Hey guys, welcome back. We are so happy you've decided to join us for another episode of 2.0. That's right, 2.0 is in the house. We are happy to be back on your screen, wherever you're watching us from, TV, your phone, your laptop. We appreciate the love. It doesn't matter. We appreciate the fact that you're tuning in. Before we go any further, take this opportunity to hit the subscribe button and join the 2.0 family so you can be part of all the great discussions that we are having here. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you are notified every time we drop an episode, because you don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss the great discussions that we are having here. All right, so last week you had the opportunity to watch episode 1. Let's not waste any more time, baby. Let's go. Episode 2 coming right up. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere.
But remember, she wanted to get divorced
Right
on her
away.
lunch break.
Yeah.
So eventually she's like,
Did she have a guy waiting for her afterward that she was gonna get in? She was gonna get a relationship with?
probably, yeah. So, yeah. So when she saw that this wasn't gonna get resolved,
Yeah.
this was gonna cause us to not get divorced today.
Yeah.
She says, never mind.
No
Scratch that
alimony.
off. No alimony.
Okay.
So we got divorced that day. And that was January 9th or January 16th of 2009. No, 2009, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. That was like Liberation Day.
So you thought?
So I thought. So I'm back in the market,
Yeah.
just
Yep.
meeting new people. I meet who's my wife now,
Okay.
and
That was how long after the divorce?
This is 2010,
Okay.
February of 2010.
Mm-hmm.
We made exclusive. We made it official.
Yeah.
And it was a long distance. Actually, it was a long distance relationship.
Where was she?
Florida.
Florida. How'd you guys meet?
It was weird because the funny thing, working night shift,
Okay.
on social media
social-
back in the
okay.
day, and we met on social media, and we were just chatting it up. But it was one of those things where, like, because she was that far away,
Okay. Was it MySpace back then?
there was this website called Mi Gente. Remember that?
Oh, Mi Gente.
Yeah, it was-
Okay.
So remember Black Planet?
Yeah, Black Planet. Yeah. Yeah.
So we became like best friends.
Okay.
We became closest friends. There was with no intentions of ever again.
Yeah.
She was 1,000 miles away. I wasn't trying to spit game.
Right. Yeah.
And it turned out like we hit it off, like we were like best friends.
Oh, nice.
Right. Like she was helping me through my issues, and
Yeah.
I was there for her. I was in church. I was like, giving her some guidance, from the church perspective.
Right. Right.
And she was helping me go through some of my issues with my kids and all that. And it wasn't, so that was like a whole year of that,
Okay.
just over a year. Then
So you were going to church while you were getting divorced, or you
Yeah.
started going to church after the divorce?
yeah, no, I was going to church for years actually.
Okay. So no one at the church counseled you, like as far as like trying to tell you should have gotten a lawyer or you should get a lawyer or anything
So
like that?
yeah, so but not in a like, it was more like a friend.
Okay.
Like, hey, if you ever need a lawyer, I recommend this guy.
Okay.
I did sit down with the pastor, and he did, we talked, but
Okay.
it wasn't like any legal help, it was more
right.
like, some guidance and praying and all that.
Yeah, but they didn't urge you to seek legal counsel.
So
Okay. So you were helping,
my friend,
your friend,
my
yeah.
friend, right, online, yeah. And I think about a year later is like, that's all we gotten so close where we just looked forward to just being on the phone.
Gotcha.
Right. And I was like, oh, actually, there's something going on here,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
actually, I remember telling her, I was like, please, fix this. Like, this is never going to work. We have a saying in Spanish, amor de lejos es de pendejo.
What does that mean?
a long distance love
Uh-huh.
is a love for suckers,
I think I've heard that
right?
expression
So,
before.
you know, I was like, make this go away. We
Yeah.
can't, this is not gonna work. So it's like, you know, it's like, oh, it'll pass, it'll pass. And
Yeah.
sure enough, here we are, 15 years later.
Yeah.
You know, but no. So we started making visits. You know, I would go there, she would come here, and you know, the kids, absolutely, because again, I think the most important thing is that we became best friends.
Nice.
Nothing was forced.
Okay.
The kids, she was my friend.
Yeah.
I wasn't like, oh, this is my new
New
girlfriend,
girlfriend,
you know,
yeah, yeah,
this
yeah.
is my, no, it was like, hey, you know, this is my friend, you know, and
Yeah.
we made our kids part of,
Yeah. What
This
what was
relationship.
developing? Yeah. Exactly.
you know, it happened organically.
Okay.
So the kids loved her. She
nice.
loved the kids. If anything, the kids is what made our friendship or bond, right? Because like that's what we related on. That's what we bonded over.
Nice.
When the mom
yeah,
would
yeah.
see the kids, she caught wind that it was somebody else,
Okay.
and not only somebody else because it wasn't the first time that she heard that I was with somebody,
Right.
but she felt confident that no one was going to take her place, I guess, which is strange because you're absent. But when now the kids are talking, and not only just talking, but talking to her in a highly, you know,
In a positive way, in a
Think-
positive light. Yeah.
thank you, right? So that's where now she wants to justify her existence.
Gotcha.
That's where she wants to pick them up more often,
Okay.
you know. So then,
So picking them up more often than the 2 days that was assigned per month, or 2 days a week
I'm trying to remember. It wasn't so much that she was picking up because she wasn't
at all.
at
So
all.
she wasn't
She
even
was.
respecting
It was
the
the pattern that she was doing back before the
Before that,
divorce
yeah.
continued through like the 2.5, 3 years,
Okay.
right? So she wasn't taking them.
So she wasn't taking them, and then you were still paying child support.
Oh, that's a good question. No,
Okay.
right? So I was like, you know what? She could drive into the sunset.
Okay.
Do that. I'm not paying child support. I'm gonna continue providing for my kids, living my life.
Gotcha.
Then, so she heard about someone new, and then I did lose my job.
Okay.
I lost my job, and I think around that time I lost my job, and not that I don't think that had anything to do with it, but I think her hearing that I have a new girlfriend, she started to pick him up on her days.
Okay. And that's how long after the initial settlement or the initial agreement?
It was
from the
it was
court?
about almost 3 years, like
Almost
two and a half years.
2.5. Okay.
Yeah, because it was like 6 months when we split to the divorce.
Okay.
Then it was like 2.5 years of her just like randomly seeing them, like very rare, far in between.
Okay.
So I did lose my job, but it was a severance package, right? So I couldn't find anything, but
Yeah.
I was good.
Okay.
Financially, you know, I was good. I had booked a trip to Hawaii. She heard about that trip to Hawaii. It's like, oh, so he's spending money on this girl.
Right.
I need my child support.
Wow.
So now she started seeing them on a regular, on her days,
Okay.
scheduled days.
Yeah.
I started paying child support,
Okay.
but it wasn't consistent, right? So she was, then she's like, okay, you know what? I want this to come out of your check. So
Okay.
she files it. There was this big change at my job. I did not show up.
You didn't show up for what? Oh, for the court appearance.
Court
Okay.
appearance.
All right, because you had something going on at work. Okay.
All right. I wasn't taking it serious. When she goes to court, I wasn't there to argue that.
Okay.
But she pretty much told me I have not paid in 3 years.
Wow.
And because I wasn't there,
Yeah.
they ordered me to pay back those 3 years.
3 years worth of child support.
So I filed a motion to argue that.
Yeah.
Now they were already upset because I did not show up.
Right.
So I'm already a deadbeat dad in their eyes.
Mhm.
So then,
Even though you do have the kids,
even though
the kids
they're
are living with
literally
you
living with
full
me,
time for the past 2.5, 3 years.
the question is asked, why haven't you ordered or filed the motion contempt?
Yeah.
Do you have any proof? It's like I would have to like my proof is like my witnesses.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't chasing her. Like I was like, oh, come see your kids. I wasn't gonna force her. She doesn't want to be a parent. I'm not gonna force.
Right.
So like, was I supposed to produce or provide
Like how many
text
times you called
messages?
her? How
Yeah,
many text
like I
messages
didn't
you
have
sent?
none of that.
Yeah.
You know, the only thing I had was maybe a handful of people that could speak on my behalf. Like, yes, she's not in the picture. But I didn't have any of that day. So he's asking, if she was absent, why didn't you file motions for contempt? Why didn't you hold her responsible,
Yeah.
hold her accountable?
Right.
I was like, because I don't care what she does.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and it basically just they looked at it as just her word versus
Against
my
yours.
word.
Yeah. And they sided with her.
They sided with her. I ended up paying. Of course, they withheld my taxes. I pretty much paid like. I remember it was like $12,000 to $14,000
Oh man. Of back child
of back
support.
child, 3 years of child support. And what's messed up is that she knew, like that this is you don't deserve this money
Right. Because she hasn't really been there for the
because
kids.
you're taking from the kids. Essentially, you're taking
Exactly.
from the
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
Like, why would you? Because now I have to cut costs in my day to day.
Yeah. Like clothing for them, groceries, and so on and so forth.
Like, let me tell you a story. She she hit me up. She's like, I want to see the kids. I was like, no. And again, it was one of those random days. Like,
Right.
can I see the kids? And what it was is a lot of times, a lot of the times that she did ask to see the kids, it's because one of her friends is throwing a birthday party.
And she want to show off.
Because she would, yeah, right. She's not, and she would literally ask me, "Oh, can you dress them up nice? Because I'm taking them." Right. That was 90% of the time. If she asked for the kids, it was because
That's what's real.
and within an hour,
Yeah.
she'll drop them off, and I'm pretty sure she was heading right back to that same party
Okay.
to get lit. So one day she asked me, "Can I see the kids?" I was like, "No." I'm actually taking them. It was just before Easter. Hey,
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah.
I was like, "Nah, I gotta take them. I gotta take them shopping. Get the girls, some Easter dresses. Get Antonio, my son, get him, an outfit." Like, I tell you what, let me take them, and I'll go shopping for them. I
No,
don't
it's
even know
okay.
why I agreed to this, but like, boom, I was like, here, make sure you buy the outfits. I even gave her money.
So you give her money to
Go ahead. It might have been something that came up for me too. Like, you know
Okay.
what? This is something,
yeah.
right? Like, she's a mother, a woman.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
should pick out a nice
Yeah,
dress.
better,
right? Like,
better sense of
right. So,
Even though you've been doing it for 2.5 years already, but
So, like, here,
you
right?
wanted to give her the opportunity to do so.
I picked them up a couple of days later.
Yeah.
I picked them up. I said, "Did you get a chance to get their outfits?" She says, "Oh, no, I didn't." I said, "That was the whole agreement. You
Yeah.
were supposed to get their dresses and this and that." I said, "Okay, well then, can I get the money back?" She started nervous laughing. She started nervous laughing, and I was like, I guess her phone rang, so she's now picking up and answering.
Yeah.
Now she wants to like deflect.
Yeah. Get away from that
I was like,
conversation.
"No, where's the money?" It's like, it
Yeah.
was not just, $50. It was probably like $200-$300. Like,
Right.
let me get the money.
Yeah.
So I can go right now. I have one day left because I think the following day was Easter.
Wow.
And yeah, that kind of turned out to be a blow up.
Wow.
A blow up because she's like nervous laughing, or at least for me, it was just adding to it because she's laughing.
Right.
And it turned out that she spent the money on the concert tickets.
Concert tickets.
Yeah. I freaking lost it.
Wow.
She bought, this is a Spanish artist, La India.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't concert tickets for the kids. Like
No.
she was gonna take the kids.
She was going to La India to see La India perform
Wow.
with the money I gave her.
For the kids.
for the kids.
Wow.
So yeah, so that was
And just to be clear, this is like on top of child support that you're paying.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's just an example of what
Yeah. Yeah.
I was going through, and
Sure.
so yeah, so now I'm paying child support, and now I'm paying back child support. My taxes are being
Being
withheld,
held. Yeah.
so things are getting tight.
Yeah.
So why would you cause their experience with their father
Yeah.
any less?
Yeah.
And that's something like just I couldn't. It just drove me crazy. And I'm pretty sure she had some help, some friends whispering, giving her ideas, because now
Yeah.
the kids became a ticket for finances. She applied for, food stamps,
Okay.
benefits.
Yeah.
She eventually, moved to Fairfield.
Okay.
She qualified for housing.
Really using the kids that she
Yeah.
had never cared for.
So now, yeah, she used the system in her favor. All the court system, the
Yeah.
DSSD, all the benefits,
Yeah.
all that. Where I didn't qualify for anything. I know I may, there's a lot. You may know people that work the system,
Hey, listen, trust me,
you know,
I know quite a few of them.
right?
Yeah.
So is all she had to do is have the right friends to show her the ropes,
Yeah.
and she did not look back.
Exactly.
She,
It's almost like some people make a career out of it, of
absolutely.
knowing how to,
Listen,
how to get around.
I've known people or mothers who have their youngest child is about to reach the max
Yeah.
and would purposely get pregnant to make sure that she didn't have to go back to work.
Yeah.
I mean,
Those I call them professionals.
professional. I know for a lot of your audience, I may sound like this petty, sour dude, but I'm just
No,
speaking
no,
my,
no, not at all. Because you know what? Sometimes, again, like I said, this is what this is what the show's all about, right? It's showing the perspective from a man's side, right? Because
Yeah.
a lot of people don't hear it from a man, right? Because the behavior you're explaining right now, people have heard of it, but from the man. You understand what I'm saying? The man is the one they know who doesn't respect the court decisions, right? They're the one who doesn't respect the custody arrangement. They're the one who doesn't respect the schedule that is assigned by the court, because the man would say, "Hey, I want to go see my son. I want to go see my kid. I want to do this. I want to do that," but they're never consistent. But now it's like this is the complete opposite, right?
Yeah.
You as the father, not just one kid, not two, but three.
Yeah.
You've been providing full-time care for three kids, and the mother is like, shows up occasionally.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, she want to file for back child support,
Yeah.
and then using the kids for, to get benefits from the government, to get housing, to get food stamp, to get all kinds of other stuff, when she never actually spent a whole month with the kids.
Yep. I got a
Ever
phone
since the
call.
divorce.
Yeah, I got a phone call from the DSSD. They were, I don't know, I think the initial call was kind of to investigate me somehow. I forget.
Really?
I was like, the kids live with me. What do you mean? Like, I wasn't aware that she was collecting food stamps or benefits.
Oh, wow.
And he says, well, can we come over and take a look? It's like, absolutely. Like, they came, they saw, they visit my house.
Yeah.
They saw their rooms.
Rooms, yeah.
It looked like they actively lived in it, right? Your typical messy
Yeah, of
room.
course.
Their dressers, they opened their drawers. They were
All the clothes,
all
yeah.
the clothes. She says, I went to her house.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
There was
Like,
nothing for the kids.
she ended up renting their bedroom
No.
to a friend of hers.
No way.
So when the kids did go over there, they would sleep with her.
That's diabolical.
So I remember her contacting me, like yelling, screaming, like, "Wow, what did you tell?" Like, they came to visit, and they came to the conclusion that
Yeah,
they
you
don't
didn't
live
have to
with
tell them anything. They saw all the proofs.
Yeah,
Right?
So they ended up like taking her benefits away for a while.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. She, dude. We could. How long is this podcast? We could go on. Dude, there was an incident to so while all this is happening now,
Yeah.
my wife moved to Connecticut,
Okay.
right? There was no way for me to fight for full custody
Right.
to be able to take him. At least I would have to somehow miraculously prove to the court that she's an unfit mother
Yeah.
to take my kids out of state. So my wife
Moved
moved
here
here.
instead. Okay. And she had kids herself, right?
Correct. So yeah, so we end up being like the Brady Bunch. So she had two of her own. I
Okay.
had three. We ended up having one. So six kids in
Six
total.
kids altogether. Okay.
Right. So it became a hectic household. So yeah, so this whole time, we're experiencing this. This did affect everyone involved. This affected, my wife. Her kids got affected because they're hearing what's going on. Not only that, some of the stuff, the behaviors of my kids, like literally every time that they came back to my house, I had to somehow undo
Yeah.
some of the influence,
damage,
some of
yeah.
the damage that they picked up going to their mom's house.
Okay.
And so it wasn't easy.
So eventually, you fell into a routine where she would take the kids more
Right.
consistently.
She was definitely wasn't going anywhere, especially now that the kids have a
Another,
stepmom.
yeah, exactly. And
So, so there was a time. I'm trying to think of the year that this happened. There was a disagreement
yeah,
that became, there was something that she wanted or whatever. And there was a disagreement. So to get back on me, I wasn't even home
okay,
this day. My kids were playing in the backyard, and one of my daughters had the roller skates on, and they're riding, and then they end up tripping. You know how the tree roots
Yeah.
raises the concrete?
yeah,
Boom, she trips over that, ends up hitting herself and landed on her chest. So she had a bruise.
okay,
I wasn't even home when she came to pick him up,
okay,
and she was like, "What happened? Did your father do that to you?" And she continued. She was one that didn't. If she didn't get the answer that she was hoping for,
she'll continue.
she'll continue.
Yeah,
She would exhaust these kids
wow.
until they gave her what she wanted. So the story that they came up with is that I flung her across the room
Wow.
where she hit herself against the doorknob.
Oh my God.
She immediately called DCF, which started the investigation. In that time, the kids could not come over. I couldn't see my kids
Wow.
during this visitation, but they did come over to observe my wife's the routine with me and my wife and her kids,
Right.
which is traumatic in itself. Like
Yeah.
why are her kids going through this?
Exactly. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, but here's the thing: like my kids and I always had a good relationship. This is now affecting them and my relationship with them
Yeah.
because now I was their safe place. Now they're away from me. But then as you also got to think, what if they start believing?
Right. Yeah.
And I'll get to that, right? Because now a lot of alienation is happening here.
Yeah.
And that's been going on 17 years or 15 years of her attempt to alienate them against me.
Wow.
And this is one example. So it was around this, it just, I get a phone call from one of her family members.
Yeah.
And it says, "Yeah, David, you need to come here and pick up the kids." I'm like, I haven't seen my kids in almost a month.
Oh wow.
I can't just go over there and pick them up. What's
Yeah,
going
because
on?
DSF took them from you.
Right. So there was an incident where she got into a physical altercation
Wow.
at her mother's house. Like, what's going on? So then I end up getting like maybe a couple of hours later, I get a phone call from the same people that were investigating me. Now, during this whole time,
Mhm.
I developed a good relationship with the folks that were investigating
Yeah, yeah.
because they weren't finding
Anything,
in
yeah,
fact, they were like, I don't see any issues here.
yeah, yeah.
I don't see any neglect going on.
Right.
Let's just go through the paces and get this over with.
Yeah.
They called me saying, like, Mr. Boney, I'm so sorry
Hmm.
to inform you, but we need to come up to a solution because I wasn't aware, and that upset me. I was not aware that my kids had been taken away from her in the period that I was being investigated
No way. What, your kids were taken away from her?
by DCF. No
No
one
way.
informed me until this incident
No.
occurred.
So they took the kids from her. Where were the kids?
They were at her mother's house.
So they removed them from her like custody,
There
and
was
they
in a
placed
physical altercation where there was a fight, a
right.
physical fight with a boyfriend
Yeah.
where my son called the police. And the police
Wow.
came and DCF got involved.
Yeah.
They
And they
got
removed them from the house, and then they placed them with the mother.
with her
But
mother.
nobody called you to
No one
inform you
called me
that,
that my kids
even though
were
they had found no proof of any
neglect on
abuse
my
or
part.
any
It was
neglect on
still
your
they
part.
haven't like
So it
finalized
wasn't finalized. It wasn't closed. The
right,
investigation wasn't closed. So
right.
that's why. Oh, wow.
So then I get the phone call because now they wanted another house for my kids to go to. This time they were asking if my parents can be that guardian.
Oh, so because it's like two different altercations now, right? There was one at her house with the boyfriend, and
Now there's one that
now there was one at the mother's house because that's where they had placed them temporarily. Now there's something else that blew up there,
right,
so now they got to move them to a to a fourth location because they came from your house and went to her house, from her house to your mother's house to her mother's
right.
house.
Where's I see a
Wow.
pattern here, right? Like so, not only she falsely accused me
Yeah.
with DCF, this is a traumatic experience for everybody.
Okay.
Them getting removed from my house, their home,
Right.
their safe place, to end up in a situation where their mother is getting beat up by a boyfriend,
Wow. That is crazy.
where they are also now experiencing or witnessing their mother beating up someone else at her mother's house.
Wow.
Tell me why. So the kids end up with my parents. And of course, they gave me, rights to see them. Listen, when my son walked into the house, it's been over a month I haven't seen him. It was dramatic. It was emotional. It was,
Wow.
you know, it was one of those things where like I grew up, I wasn't hugged when I was a kid. And although I was the fun dad,
Yeah.
but I wasn't affectionate. And I remember that hug that I got that day. It was like changed. Like I need to hug them more often. Right? Because they walked in and it's like he just hugged me so tight. Because, we'd never been apart that long,
Right. Right. Right.
you know.
Wow.
So yes, it was not easy. So when I freaking went on that rant, it's
Yeah.
like you don't know
What you've been, what
the
you've been
half
through.
of
Yeah.
this.
So even with all of that happening, did there come a moment where you decided and say, you know what, I'm gonna have to get myself a lawyer to help me with this?
Yes. So well, yes and no. So keep in mind things have gotten tight
Yeah, right.
because
Because
I'm
you have to pay
paying
back
more
child
child
support,
support.
regular
Right.
child support.
Right.
Yeah.
So I didn't seek out, and again, I could have asked for help. I could have probably get a credit card or somehow, but I didn't. I
What?
went and tried to handle this myself.
Why do you think it was so difficult for you to ask for help?
That's how I was built. It's just very difficult for me to ask for help. I don't know. It's one of those things where like, you know, it was embedded where like if you ask for help, you're weak. It's something that I struggled with my whole life. You know, I, the phone call that I made to my mother to ask her if she had an apartment available for me to move in, dude, I paced around the phone for I don't know how long to make that phone call
Right.
because like I don't ask for help, I don't ask for anything. I do everything on my own. You know, I don't need anybody's help, and it's just something that I dealt with for so long. And here I am, like I got to call for help.
Yeah.
So yeah, so and it's just crazy because you know a lot of times too is like this should be simple. I should simply go file for a motion in court.
Right.
Here's the evidence.
Yeah.
It turns out that the court and DCF don't like each other. It turns out that the court, from the court's perspective,
Yeah.
DCF are too quick to take the kids.
Okay.
So they disagreed. They pretty much ordered her to do anger management.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So they felt like, they shouldn't have taken the kids from her that quickly.
That quickly.
So shouldn't that be said for you as well when they took the kids from you?
So, that's what sucks about this is that, you know, there are cases
Yeah.
that kids are taken away from their parents. But you know,
Yeah, it goes back to the statement you made right at the beginning of the interview when you talk about the bias that exists in the system.
right.
So it's like when it comes to the mother, it's like the mother can almost do whatever, right? But they still get to keep the kids.
Right.
But if the father even slipped or misstepped, that's enough for them to remove the kids and declare you like a deadbeat dad or neglect or an unfit parent.
Right.
That is sad. So now fast forward to this battle you said you've been doing for 17 years, right? So now earlier you said the youngest one just turned 18, right? He's in Japan right now enjoying himself. So what
Oh,
is this?
he's 24.
Oh, he's 24.
Yeah.
That one, okay. But all right, so the youngest one just turned
My
18.
daughter, 18 age round. Yeah.
Got it. So what is this battle about? I mean, shouldn't you be out
Yeah.
of child support now that the youngest one is 18?
So what happened was so if you don't mind me touching on,
Yeah, sure.
she is a narcissist. She has triangulated. She has chosen who her favorite kid's gonna be at different
way.
times.
Really?
She turns them against each other,
Are you serious?
like literally conquer and divide, and that's how she controls the kids.
Wow.
And then her way of showing affection and love is treating them to trips, cruises, but she can't actually show true, genuine emotion to
Emotional,
display true love, right?
Affection,
It's like look, but then look what I did for you. Nothing's free over there, right? So it was always tough. That I hated seeing them how they behave with each other. There were times with if one of my kids were closer attached to like spending more time with me, she would use another kid to rub in her face. Like, look at what I'm doing. I'm going on a shopping spree, spurging on this child. You're missing it.
Wow.
And a lot in these kids, because they're conditioned, like they will go along with it. They thought that it was an honor to be in that position.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating because like you try to like undo that when
Yeah.
they come over, but it's like it's an uphill battle,
Wow.
right? So now this is me, in all these years I'm trying to like undo that and speak to them carefully, maneuvering. That's what sucks is about being the good parent, is that I'm maneuvering these issues
Yeah.
carefully
Yeah.
so that I don't become her.
Right. All right, guys, we are wrapping up episode 2. Thank you so much for tuning in. And don't forget to leave a comment. Let us know what you think of the story. Maybe you yourself you're facing something similar. So we would love to hear from you. Just leave a comment and feel free to share the link with someone who's going through a similar situation or someone who may find it helpful. So feel free to send it out to them. And as always, if you're going through a divorce right now, we just want to let you know our hearts is with you. You are not alone. You don't have to do it by yourself. All right. Just hang in there and know that, hope, there is hope. Keep hope alive. Again, we don't promote divorce, so feel free to reach out to a counselor. Feel free to reach out to someone who can help you. If there's any ways to work it out, I would encourage you to work it out and not have to, split the family, not have to, split the kids. And it's just a crazy situation. So I hope we can find a way out of that. We can find a way out of it. So just want to remind you, don't forget, live every day as if it is your last day, because one day it will be. I'm JR. I'll see you next time.